Welcome to the Kansas City Business Cast, where we assemble a cast of leaders, entrepreneurs, nonprofit business owners here in the Kansas City region. I am your host, Michael Reisinger, from a business growth consulting firm called Vocati ad Servitium. Very honored to have my guest here today. Her name is Liz Stewart. She runs Tinting K.C. in this area of Lenexa, Kansas, and really excited to have her share a little bit of her origin story, what they do, and what she's going to be doing here in the future. Full disclosure, I know Liz. We are in the same business networking group, and we have actually partnered on some initiatives at her shop. So, without further ado, I am proud to introduce Liz Stewart. Liz, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Michael. I'm really honored to be a guest on your show. And I'd like to say hello to everybody out there listening. We welcome you. So I'm Liz Stewart, again, Tinting K.C. I own the company with my son and my daughter-in-law and our newest partner, who is Jared Wolf. So my son's name is Rory. We have Jared and we have my daughter-in-law, Sarah. And we've been in business officially since 2019, but my son had started the name Tinting K.C. under his own auspices a few years prior to that, and was just doing this business out of his house garage. And bless her heart, my daughter-in-law was okay with that, but at some point the stars aligned, and I was able to come into an opportunity to have freedom to start a business with my son and my daughter-in-law. She supported us in that venture, and so we collaborated together financially and skills and abilities wise, and we started it up in the summer of 2019 officially at our location where we are now.
Wow. I didn't know Rory started it out of his garage. What motivated Rory to start Tinting K.C. and just kind of go on his own? Yeah,
so Rory and I, have a background in tint and also automotive glass. We worked for a company I did 22 years ago when Rory was in high school. He was a porter for us, and that gave us the background knowledge for automotive glass and tinting, and he stayed interested in it. He did get a degree in aviation mechanics, and I went from that company. Years later, I was in administration for them and customer service for that small local company here in Kansas City, and I went to work for Safelite Auto Glass. So Safelite Auto Glass, along with that component of knowing automotive glass, I got to have exposure with tinting automotive glass and continues that sort of thread. Rory, after he graduated with his degree, he moved, and they lived in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he also went to work for the same company, which is Safelite Auto Glass. So we both worked for them for years, and then at some point, the company decided to make a operational change, and my position as a regional services manager was downsized. Rory had moved around with his wife, who is a professional in the healthcare realm. She's a doctor. So they moved to south of Joplin and then came back eventually to Kansas City. And he and I at one point had the opportunity to just look at each other and say, we need to make a change in our trajectories. I was being downsized, and Rory was ready to make a change and focus on doing something for himself that we could both do together, potentially, in the side of our business that is the most happy side of the business. Nobody wants to get their automotive glass replaced, but everybody loves to pimp their ride and get it done. Paint protection
right.
Film and the services that we offer now. So that's how Rory decided, okay, I'm just going to start doing this out of my garage casually. He was really good at it because he's really good at everything he does with his hands, especially. He's just a magician. And the requests for his services became more and more to the point where we had a feeling, I think we can make this thing work. And I took the buyout that I was offered through the company, and we both pooled resources and started it together.
That is so cool. I have to ask, because mother and son team, have you and Rory always kind of had that energy where you guys worked on things well together. Like, I mean, what was that like, with him growing up?
Oh my goodness, that kid. He was the kid who wanted to take all of his toys apart, but then he would usually try to put them back together. Not always successfully. Things like my vacuum cleaners, his bicycles. So he was the kid that always did something with his hands in high school. I think he took apart and put together an engine in his sophomore year, which was supposed to be the senior project. He was one of those kids. And I've always loved cars. My original education is actually in healthcare as a respiratory therapist. I was that for quite a few years.
Awesome.
Right. And so I just, my career took a hard left when I moved back to the Kansas City region after living away in and out of military with ex-spouses and things. And so came back this way, and I just on a whim decided to go work for a company that had a part-time need for the automotive glass and tinting realm. And Rory was so interested in that. And so he immediately, here he is, a senior in high school. Can I come and porter for you? He drove the cars around, and he was kind of hooked. And
that's so cool.
So, yeah. So together I think we have make a good partnership. It's not always easy, and we talked a little bit about that. With one of the questions you asked was, what are the challenges? And one of those,
let's talk about that.
Yeah, one of those major challenges is being family. You have your family dynamic, which ours has always been really good. I think we've always really gotten along. We share a lot of the same interests, but of course, mother and son, you have that dynamic where I'm the mom and he's my son, and now we're sort of peers as partners in a business. And so there's been a little bit of navigation we had to go through with that aspect, but I feel like we both sort of have, eventually we've just risen to the challenge and known that above and beyond everything, we are wanting to have each other happy and fulfilled in this business. And so sometimes he pushes my buttons. I push him, push his buttons.
Sure.
But eventually it all works out. And the business's success has been a testament to the fact that we've been able to flow through it and continue to manage through it. And trying to keep good communication is really key, and that's something that we still struggle with, but it's an ongoing process, as are all relationships in life. And so, I think I think we've done as well or better than many family-owned operations have done.
Absolutely. So when you got started, so you said Rory started it in 2019. And, as I've been interviewing people on the show, a lot of folks, either started a business right before or right at the beginning of the pandemic, and all the challenges that came with that. And while we're on the subject of challenges, I love how you mentioned communication. Like you and your son you're communicating. I've had the honor of seeing that real time when I'm there too. When we were working on a couple of projects, I could see how, Rory would talk to the customer about, what was done on their vehicle. And then he'd hand you the paperwork and say, all right, they're ready, and there's this checkout process, and you both, it's like a fine-tuned machine being there. I've also watched you guys manage communication with people in the field as well. I guess we'll talk a little bit more about, the other things outside of auto tint that you do. But what are some other challenges that you can think of in the last couple of years, just in your field or as a business owner, that you've encountered?
Yeah, you're so right. Just, not even a year after we were in business, COVID hit. And that was something nobody was prepared for. And it was a fearful time for us. We didn't know what was going to happen. So we hit a month or so period right after that where we just were dead. And of course, the business was dead out there. People were just trying to figure out what they could or couldn't do out there in the world. And it helped us gain some important perspective, I think. Some businesses didn't make it through. Some in our industry didn't make it through. We talked about this morning. I got his input on this, and we talked about maybe they didn't run as lean as we do. I think really important things that helped us weather that storm were the fact that we stayed very lean and mean. We went into this business with no debt, and we continued to maintain no debt up until right at the end of the pandemic, when they gave some of the funds that we took as a loan. We took small business loan, right? And that was to grow the business. So the audacity of growing a business at the end of the pandemic was astonishing. But initially we coasted it out. We changed our operating methods. We are small enough and nimble enough, and that we could create standards where we created clean standards. People could come in and be comfortable in the knowledge that their vehicle was being taken care of and being as sanitary as we could keep it. If anybody was ill, they stayed home. We wore masks. We took all necessary precautions. And I don't know of anybody else in town that was really doing that. Maybe some did, but I had many customers tell me they specifically chose us because we were following those standards and they felt comfortable with us. So that helped us get through that hump. We stayed lean and mean. What cannot be overstated enough is that we went into this business knowing that we would not be able to pay ourselves for a while. So that's key. When you're starting your business, you better be prepared financially, emotionally, psychologically to weather maybe a year and a half, 2 years. I think the standard is pretty much 2 years where your business before it becomes profitable. So we were prepared for that. Part of our business plan was how long can we maintain our business and our personal selves with not getting paid. We were able to do that to the point where about a year and a half into the process in our little small shop that we had, we came upon a young man, Jared, who he had a business called K.C. Clear Bra, and he was going mobile to do paint protection film on cars. And we had
Can you tell people what paint protection film is?
So paint protection
really quick?
film, it's a clear film that is 8 mil thick, and it goes over vehicles' paint and many surfaces other than paint, but mostly painted surfaces because you're trying to keep them from having road rash from the impact of road debris.
Right.
Or even other car doors or whatever. So that keeps your paint from your car from having to be repainted. Keeps the integrity of the paint and protects the car. So paint protection film, literally, like I said, and the name that was used for it for a long time, and still today I hear people call it Clear Bra because it goes over the front of the car, like those old vinyl bras that we used to have that were horrible for your cars. But
how times have changed.
I know, right? Exactly. The
just
memories.
Brought a flashback. I just remember all the old cars. Growing up.
And then dirt would get underneath and it'd rub that grime into the surface, and you pull the bra off and go, oh crap, my car's finish is all scratched up from the crap that's been underneath this bra. So paint protection film that we carry, it has a 10-year warranty, and it's actually adhered directly onto the painted surface of your car. And so there was this young man out there doing this as a mobile business, and oh my gosh, what an intrepid soul he was. Jared. Yeah. He's just the greatest young man. And so we had an opportunity, a privilege to do a Ford GT that was sort of the Ford versus Ferrari replica car. That film was coming out
Everybody
at that time.
Needs to watch that.
Oh, so cool.
If you have not seen that.
Exactly. So the owner of this car that was for a while after we did it, was in the Olathe Auto Museum, and then now it's been on the showroom at Olathe Ford for quite a long time. But we wrapped the entire car in paint protection film. And that's not uncommon. We do this on a lot of vehicles, and even, not only just high-end or exotic vehicles, but say Teslas, a lot of cars, we will do the entire vehicle. But this man asked us to do this, including a lot of the undercarriage, which was carbon fiber. Oh, right. Yeah. And so Jared came and helped us with that project, and we never let him leave. and we made it, we incentivized things so he never had to leave. But part of that was that Rory and I continued to divert some of our own financial resources to being able to take care of Jared, young married man wanting to start a family. And so we thought we need to take care of him. And I can't stress that enough. If you get a good person, if you get good employees, treat them well, reward them often, both financially and verbally, just with actions. And we do a lot of things to reward our people too, but his involvement with us and coming onto the team was instrumental in 100% towards us growing.
Right. So just This is just like almost becoming like a little masterclass you've got going on here with telling your experience and just about bootstrapping, and when you find good people, invest in them. And I'm like giggling over here silently because I've seen how you guys all interact and I've seen how you work together, and you truly have something special. I know that at Tinting K.C. you've got folks on site, and then do you have contractors that work out in the field? Can you maybe talk about a little bit about what you do out in the community and how you serve the KC region?
Okay, so the line of products and services that we offer are, first of all, tint, thus Tinting K.C, but also Clearbra. Jared's company name, he merged with us, and we vested him with ownership then this past year. So that's our number 2 product. But within the tint line, that's not just automotive. We do residential and commercial. So also within that, there's other products such as security film, which provides security, literally security and safety aspects to glass that you don't get just with the inherent glass. Nowadays people want to keep their homes safe, especially the businesses safe. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of, break-ins. We've done schools, we've done churches, we've done just yesterday. My son went out and did some security film on a Cargill facility that wanted to keep their employees safe. So I used to work for Cargill, and I really appreciated their focus on employee safety. So they're going that extra mile by continuing that with some security film. Those things a lot of people don't even realize that we carry. So at my shop, which we expanded during COVID, that's what I alluded to, the audacity of us expanding during COVID. We happened to be able to expand to, there was a shop that was twice the size of our original shop, 2 doors down, and it was a cleaning company who did commercial cleaning. And of course, what happened with COVID, everybody started working from home. So they moved onto the other side of us to a little small office. We took over their big office, blew it out, all 6 offices that were in there, and it's a huge shop now. So we have a nice shop environment, heated, climate controlled, heated and cooled, and the guys doing automotive work out of there. But for residential commercial purposes, you have to go to where the building is. It's not coming to you.
That's right.
Unless I work with glaziers and glass people who will drop glass off to us and we'll put product on it, and then they take and install it. But that's few and far between. Usually we're going where the need is. And for that purpose, we've really grown. And that's kind of the side of the business that I tend to concentrate on, is growing the commercial residential tint and services. So I have a crew of people that have been with me on and off for years. We worked with this one gentleman who came on with us when we very first started. He'd worked with the company that Rory and I worked with years ago, and was arguably, if not the best residential commercial tinter in town. He's fantastic. So we've kept him busy constantly over the past years that we've been in business, and he goes out and on site and he does that for us. We also have a couple of guys that are kind of subcontract basis, but we've also worked with them for years and years. They own their own business. They're entrepreneurs like me,
right?
And they prefer to have their own business with the flexibility to work with companies like our own, who give them jobs, and then they can set their own schedule and create a name and a legacy for themselves with their own business. So work with some really fantastic people, only the best people in town. A lady we were doing install for in a beautiful neighborhood last week, she said, "Are you going to send that same guy?" And my son said, we were measuring, and my son said, "Well, no." And she says, "But is the other guy good?" And he says, "Well, all of our people are good."
Right.
And they truly are. I can truly say that. Any and all of them, I would have work on my own car or my own home. And that's what we like to tell our customers. That's the assuredness you get from working with a company like ours, is that we're going to treat your home and your auto and your business like our own.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that I was immediately, one of my first impressions of meeting you and going down to the shop was the value in doing that. And, I know that you've helped, private, public, you've helped government entities with some of their needs. You mentioned the religious institutions, so literally anywhere with windows, anything with windows, those folks can be your customer. What do you think are some of the things on the horizon for your industry that you guys are preparing for? If anything, I mean, are there any changes, any regulations, anything like that you guys have to be sensitive to coming up?
Yeah, it's an always changing industry in some ways. In some ways, it's stayed static, the same for years and years. But legislation typically changes with respect to to automotive, like the legalities for how dark you can go on your car's windows. As legislative changes happen and they update those, we try to keep abreast of that. So we keep you legal for the state that you're registering in. And some people think that, you have to stay legal for the state you're driving in. No, that's not true. The legality goes with the state of registration for a vehicle. So if you're legal in that state, then you're legal wherever you're driving to. Rory and I, when we first started this, we like to say we're saving lives one tint at a time. So tint, whether it be automotive, residential, commercial, architectural is how we refer to that film, that it gives you 99.98 UV ray protection with any film you get, no matter how light or dark. We've had family members who have had skin cancers develop, and those cancers can be very deadly. So we love the fact that we're protecting people. When people drive, you're exposed to UV rays, and people who drive, like truck drivers, farmers, that kind of thing, they have a high incidence of cancers that happen on their left sides of their body, the face, neck, arm. I did not
know that.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't. But we've had, I don't know how many customers will come in and say, I have this cancer, and I need immediately my new car. I need to get the UV ray protection because I don't want the cancer to come back. So people who've had exposures to cancers, they're often very aware that they need to, if you can put SPF 100 on your body, you can put it on your windows, and it's like sunscreen for your car.
It's an amazing way to put it.
Right. And it's sunscreen for your home too. So we've had people who were going through cancer treatments who wanted to be able to, say, enjoy their sunrooms, their TV rooms, that kind of thing, their bedroom, be able to lie in a sunny room and enjoy the warmth of the sun, and yet be protected from those damaging rays. And so we're happy to fill that need for those people. It's such a helping, gratifying feeling to protect somebody in that way. And so I'd like to get the word out there that, that's a possibility. You don't have to keep your blinds drawn. You don't have to not ride in your car. You can go out, you can throw back the blinds and ride in your car and enjoy life and still be protected.
That's just another one of those nuggets of wisdom that I think is in what you do. When you were talking about you don't have to close your blinds, think about the quality of life enhancement that means. Like, you can't control which direction your house is built when the sun comes up and where you like to be in your house at a certain time. But what you're talking about is a quality of life increase because, people can get the sun without, all that harmful UV.
Absolutely. And also it can be an energy savings. So sometimes some of our customers are just looking to have, the heat reduced in the summertime in a room or in an office or facility. And tint does that very effectively. So when you talk about like what advancements or what things do I see coming on the forefront already, just in the past few years, there have been great advancements made in tints that incorporate ceramic qualities, other metallized qualities into the film that can give you protection against UV rays, infrared rays, and just heat and helping with the heating and the cooling of a space with a film that doesn't necessarily have to be dark. It can now be just light or almost crystal clear, virtually undetectable, and still have great heat reduction qualities and protection qualities for for the people inside, but also your furnishings. It keeps your flooring from degrading and fading and cracking, and your wood and your paint and your artwork, and sometimes wine, and sometimes we see these high-end homes where people are trying to protect wine collections or artifacts or whatever. Those are really cool installs, and they don't have to close off the room to get these things protected. They can show off their cool things that they have.
You have me thinking about every faded painting on a sunny side of a building I've ever seen in my life. Like, what happens to the color over time? It gets drained out, and so that's just so interesting. So we talked about kind of like, challenges and things that are going on. What do you like most about being an entrepreneur and owning your own business? Like what tell me about that journey, what that's been like from being, employee to business owner.
Right. So I had worked with a lot of corporate. I'd worked with Cargill for a while, worked with Safe Light Auto Glass, worked at hospitals, plus a few small businesses. And so I think one thing I like about being a business owner is flexibility. And I asked this question also of my son and Jared, too, because I wanted their perspective on it. And we all say that we like the flexibility that can be had with it, and the feeling of gratification, personal gratification, accomplishment that you get from helping people, and I think we just checked. I think we are one of the only, if not the only, 5-star business of our business segment still left in town that has a full 5-star rating with over 100 reviews. But I think why we have that is because we are all customer service oriented, and we really truly enjoy helping somebody find a solution to something and making it something they're delighted in. And that's just something that gives you joy every day. So the joy you find from having a job well done and doing it with people that you truly enjoy. We actually hang out after work and do things together, and just on time off. So it's that camaraderie that we have with each other. Since Jared's came on, he's had a baby January 1st of this year, and she was in the shop Jared. For a while this morning. And, and my grandson through COVID was able to come in, and we had an office that we called, his name's Corwin, and we called it Corwin's office. And he, through all the time when they couldn't go to school, he was doing schooling from his office at our shop. And those things you can't do
so
in
rad.
Corporate America, right? You're not going to bring your baby to work. We bring our dogs to work if it's grooming day and the groomer's coming to the shop. And all of those things are super cool and are what keep us loving the entrepreneur small business.
I've joked with you and Rory about how clean your shop is. And you mentioned it earlier. You talked about having a well-lit, clean shop. And you had a sort of an in-service last week, or an educational session with Expel, and you were talking about the security film. And I was joking with Rory because the table was set up in the middle of the shop, and you had a local caterer come and bring the food. And, it was a good turnout. There was like a good 20 folks that showed up from all different industries. And I joked and I said, Rory, I'm always talking about how clean your shop is, and we're literally eating in your shop right now, So there's that pride that everybody obviously takes. And I mean, I've dropped in at random times during the day, and it's like, even if they're doing work, there's order kept. It's really amazing. The thing that, and here's the thing about your shop too, is you don't have your mission statement up on a wall, and you don't have like your core values and all this stuff articulated like, so many places lately. And I know everyone listening probably has an example of this, of a time where you walked into a place and you saw a mission statement, and then the way you were treated did not align with that at all. So it's really more caught than taught, I think, and you got to hire the right people. But what would you say your vision and values are for the business? I see you guys live your values, but if you could boil it down, what would it be, or what would they be?
I'd say it's treating customers as you would like to be treated and treating your coworkers as you would like to be treated. So I think we all really strive for that. That sounds sort of serious. We are nothing if not a comical shop. Rory got, I think he was voted.
I'm so glad you went there.
Yeah,
Tell us, please.
Right, because,
Tell us everything.
Oh my gosh,
so good.
We're constantly having something inappropriate said out in the shop. You could eat it on a shop, but I don't know if you could always have your ears open and not be offended. So, right. No, it's really so delightful. The sense of humor of all parties involved. But Rory was like voted class clown every year through high school, and he keeps us rolling in the back there. I think that the mission is to do great work, do great quality work, give great customer service, and have fun. And we want to always be sure that we do that. We've all probably worked in a business or with a group of people that was kind of a struggle. And the one thing that you can have control over, if you do this for yourself, is that you make sure it's not such a struggle, and you make sure that you address issues if it becomes a struggle. You try to make it fun again, because when it's not fun again, not to say that there's never been that happen. We've had some times where it was not so much fun and we had to address that. But the level of caring and concern for each other that was displayed, I think was admirable, and is what keeps reminding you, yeah, this is why we do this. And I think it's what shines through to people. Like you say, people come. Rory said to a customer not too long ago, I have an open door policy. You can come see your car getting done every day if you want. And this man was very particular about his vehicle. He has a beautiful Tesla, and we were wrapping it with a paint protection film that comes in a matte finish, and it's called Stealth. And so he wanted a satin look to differentiate his car from all the other gloss Teslas out there. He wanted it to have that sleek satin look, and he came by every day. And he could just walk in and one point we were kind of like, are you going to come every day? And I think my son thought, well, I don't know, should I really have offered you the open door policy? But it just goes to show you that we really stand behind what we say and what we do, and we work all the time as if somebody was watching, even if they're not.
Right. Absolutely. I wanted to ask you about, your journey and just some lessons that you've learned. And I think you might have prepared some things to talk about, but what do you wish you knew now? Or what do you know now that you wish you knew back then? Sorry, sometimes I try to find the words. But just some lessons that you've learned, or that you talked about with the boys. Yeah.
So, none of the three of us had owned a business prior to starting this business. So we agreed on a few things. One was that, run lean and mean, try not to get into debt, be prepared to have to forego some financial consideration for yourself in favor of employees or investments in growing the business. Try to get a person on with you right away, or a company on an accounting basis, like somebody who does small business accounting and some functions like that. Like, unless you're an accountant yourself and you're starting an accountant business, find somebody that can do that, because that was really key towards us moving to the next level. I could get away from doing all the tax reporting and all of those minutia functions that was out of my element. I always had like a staff or a department or a person that did that in my previous business dealings. And so having a person who came on who was my go-to, and she is still to this day. I went through a surgery recently, and she just picked up the mail and carried it for me. And gosh, that was so appreciated. Her name's Lacey Showalter, and I'll give her some props, because Showalter Accounting has been just a godsend for us. So have a partner that can do the paperwork side of things, or maybe a side of the business that is not your forte. Maybe I had somebody come in and she cleans once a month just to help us with that, because otherwise it would get over my head and I'd get so stressed out. So find a person that your areas of lack and fill those needs, save for them, and invest in that. Another thing was, know that it's just only going to be you. It's sometimes if if you can't do a job or if your employee doesn't show up, it comes down to you. So on the flip side of flexibility is inflexibility of your schedule. And if you don't have somebody else doing something, you're going to be the one. We've worked many early mornings, late nights, weekends. I don't know how many weekends I've helped our gentleman that goes out and does residential commercial. I'll meet him at the shop and we're getting paperwork together, and I'll take him supplies on a weekend, and Rory stays late nights, and Jared stays late nights, and we all do things. You have to fill all the roles oftentimes. So just don't let it get you down. Just remember that you're trying to create, maybe a legacy for the future, but if nothing else, a good career for yourself until you're ready to retire. So that was something. And then I think for me, what has become really important for me as I have grown, or am trying to grow the business, because we're trying to grow more into residential commercial tinting, was finding Michael. Having Vacati ad Servitium.
I'm working on that. Thank you.
Come along, because you were my go-to to consult with, to help tweak my areas of improvement, like inventory management and organization, and help develop our productivity, operational standards, those things. If you don't set that up in the beginning, and I think a lot of companies make this mistake, they're just out there running great guns, trying to make some money and grow the business, and then pretty soon you realize, oh my gosh, my inventory management and my operation standards are lacking, and I've hired people on, but we don't have a concise, linear way to make sure all these tasks get completed. And so having you, props to you, having you come on has been really key. Find good people around you. You talked about our little CEU class that we had, that was an informational class that a dozen people came to last week, and having Jessica with Murphy's Bar and Grill in Lenexa, she came through with our
props to Jessica.
Oh my gosh,
made
the catering,
some amazing food. Go down there, guys.
That's right. Go
previously
do it.
Callahan's, right?
Previously Callahan's, 87th and Rose Hill.
That's right.
So just finding good people, having good people around you. If you already have a good network of people in the area where you live, bring those resources together for your new business. You'll need them, and they will help support you, even if not operationally, but just psychologically, emotionally, through those highs and lows, because you can commiserate with each other about what you're going to. And then sometimes they'll give you great ideas you never would have come up with. That's
right. Gosh, so many valuable insights there. One of the things that I've noticed about you, and Rory and Jared, all the guys in the shop, is how welcoming you are to people from other professional backgrounds. And you just mentioned that, find people that can be your subject matter expert. You have your cleaning people, you have people who do your accounting, business consulting. I think that's huge. How do you network with people in Kansas City? How do you go out and find those people? Because the way that you've assembled this team or this tribe of people to help your business out is you've gone out there, you've put yourself out there to go network, and you've proactively done this. What are some things that you do? I'll let you. Yeah.
Well, so Rory and I, neither one of us are shy, which is kind of a good and a bad thing, But for the most part, we are not afraid to go. We just went out and just started talking to dealerships, and I took them homemade cookies at Christmas, and we got some that came on with us and kind of carried us through COVID, and just all those little things were so one-to-one networking was key. Then we started doing some car shows in your area of business. Look for some things that you can do outside in the neighborhood or in your community that are give back to the community. So just for the fact that it's good karma, and it's something that where they can get your brand recognition, see your company out there, and see that you're engaged with the community and that you really care. So we started doing last year. We did a toys charity thing for Children's Mercy, and we raised a whole bunch of money, and with a whole bunch of other people in the car community got together, and we all put these toys in our cars, and we took it over to Children's Mercy, and we gifted the toys to them, and oh my gosh, the kids were so excited. And so things like that, just it's a win-win. And it gets you networking with other people who are interested in cars. What's your target audience? Well, network or do events with those people that your target audience are. And then maybe even some people who you didn't know were your target audience will come along. So we've done that. We take a 10 out to car shows, and we look for every opportunity we can. But recently, the Referral Madness group that I joined with you, it came as an opportunity to me from one of my partner companies that I work with. So shout out to Matt with Wrap K.C. They're a great company that they do vinyl wrapping vehicles. And he'd been using us some for paint protection film and tint for his customers. And then we refer our customers to him for vinyl. Right. And he told me I had this great networking group that I belong to. And I came on, I think, in May. And it's just been the most wonderful symbiotic relationship. At our event that we had last week, we had, multiple members of that networking group that attended, right. And some of them that met other, a build or a HVAC person that met a builder that he knew, and a realtor that knew a person she knew. And so we had all these people in common, and they reinforced their relationships with each other. I noticed two people giving away numbers to each other. Oh, I lost your number. And so it's a surprise. It's always delightful and just really a unique opportunity to see people make those connections, and it can happen from out of nowhere and places unexpected.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was a really cool event, by the way. And I love how there was a, test your might element to it. With, Rory handed everybody the hammer, try and break this glass, with this 8 mil security film. And it was amazing to see that stuff in action. What an amazing product. I know the rep from Expel was there too, and he was just totally nerding out on all the facts with us. So I guess, we've talked a lot about what you do in your business. What are some hobbies or things that you have or that you do to keep yourself sane? You talked about the flexibility and inflexibility of running a business. What are you able to do to recharge and kind of, I guess, come back to work with your whole self, right? If you can.
Yeah. Well, so personally, I have a lot of friends who were kind of my tribe of people, and now it includes a lot of my networking people as my tribe. But I have good girlfriends, and we do stuff, go out dancing and just do movies, that kind of thing. I've got great family members, really supportive partner that he's been very supportive of me from the very beginning of the business, and he's an entrepreneur himself. He owns a company called Builder Direct, and so he's without his support, I would never have even started it. But shout out to Alan. So travel, that's something we do to decompress, or I do. I like to garden. I ask the guys what they like to do. Jared, he has the new baby, so she takes up a lot of their focus, he and his wife's. He also is a big golf fanatic. So he likes to go out and hit the links, and he's quite good. We look forward to next year. I think we're going to try to sponsor some sort of golf tournament or be involved in a golf tournament. And
wow.
Yeah, so be looking forward to that.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to have that going on and have our own charity or something that we can give to that we think of that's kind of near and dear to us. My son, he's always working on something, working on a car or working on some machinery, or he has a little Harley that is an old Harley but looks brand new because he's done so much work to it, and they ride that around a lot. And he does Taekwondo. Of course, his son, my grandson, is 10 years old now, and that keeps him pretty busy. And he's a family guy, and I think our family and friend ties are what help us decompress the most.
Absolutely. I guess, thinking about what you do, and I know that you guys have great ratings, it shows on your reviews. Are those Google reviews where you can see the 100 reviews, or is that across?
Yeah, that's our Google reviews. a lady that just made one of our most recent reviews. She came to us, and sometimes people think of doing paint protection film on like the exotics cars or the expensive cars. And yes, we've taken care of cars that are $1, $2, $3 million cars. Recently we had a 64 Ferrari, we had a Bugatti. We have, we do these cars, but the average everyday Joe who really drives their car, or Jane, they want the product as much because people are kind of tend to be keeping their cars a little bit longer nowadays, and they want to maintain the nice condition of it. So a lady brought her Hyundai in to my shop, her SUV, and she was under the gun. She really wanted to get taken care of before a wedding she needed to attend, and she wrote us a nice review that talked about how, from the beginning when I helped her get the appointment scheduled, we were able to just fit her in, just squeezed her into a slot that wasn't really there, but we knew how much she wanted it and needed it. And she said she couldn't speak enough about how everybody at the facility was so warm and welcoming, and let her see the process, let her see other cars that were being worked on. She was new to it, but she'd been recommended to get it by her dealership and by a family member. And then she came back and she got a little more services, and she just could not rave enough. So check out some of our reviews on the Google. We have a Facebook page too.
I'll make sure that's in the show notes as well. I'll link everything there.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And then you can watch things like our video of the people trying to break the glass and fun things like that. There's some comical videos of the guys putting product on vehicles. There's some cool videos of product being put on homes and businesses. We also do graphics application onto businesses. So signage and graphics, if they're vinyl, we can put them on. We've done like vinyl, the CVS's and the T-Mobiles in town, and now I'm doing a space of Advanced Auto Parts. And so corporations will go and will take already pre-produced graphics and will put them on their vehicles or their storefronts.
Yeah. So as you've been talking about the things that you've done, and again, a lot of these things you're naming, these were not part of your original intention when Rory started it in the garage, right? This is how you've expanded and you've grown. I was going to ask you, what are some of the things that separate you from your competitors in the city? You've already named some things, but I guess if you could boil it down to, what's the advantage you guys have?
So I asked for a collaborative input on that too, because I thought, well, I kind of have a feeling what I think sets us apart, but what do the guys think? So we all felt like that us being a one-stop shop with a boutique experience is what sets us apart, because there's companies in town that do elements of what we do, that do tint or paint protection film, but we also do paint correction. We do ceramic coating. We have a in-house detailing. So if you drop your car off at our facility, we can do all of those things in shop. And we have a smaller shop and we have a bigger shop, and between the two of them, we can take care of all those things. As well as, you're right, we did expand into things that neither Rory and I really expected to. We were sought out by a company that provided a windshield protection film, and we tried out a couple of different brands of that as the iterations went on. They all were jockeying for superiority within this industry, and we ended up settling on a product called ExoShield. And when Rory and I both worked for Safelite, we always thought, well, if we could just protect windshields from getting broken. Of course, Safelite doesn't like that prospect, but and there's always going to be a need for glass replacement. But if you could just try to help people reduce downtime or maintain their original windshield in a car, your original set on your original glass is priceless. And so sometimes many of those windshields out there can be. The average windshield price now is like $800, between $500 and $1,500 is the average, because with all the sensing features that run through them. So you want to try to preserve that if you can. Sometimes you can't even get the glass. Guys were telling me that somebody's windshield on a Lamborghini was $16,000 the last time they replaced it. And if you could even find it, because they come from Italy. So, but everybody's Jeep and their Bronco, those are the most commonly broken windshields out there. And so today we're putting an ExoShield on the outside of a Bronco windshield. We're tinting the inside of it. And we have a partnership with Ivan of K.C. Glass Guys. He owns a great small business here in Kansas City, and he does our glass replacement, and he'll do it at our shop or on site, but he'll bring the glass to us and we'll take care of tint and paint protection, or we'll take care of tint and ExoShield. He'll pick up the glass and put it in the vehicle for us. And that's another one-stop shop thing that we have. So, where else are you going to find a shop that does paint protection film and detailing and ceramic coating? Oh, yeah. And we do windshield replacement. Oh, yeah. And if your windshield isn't even broken yet and you just have a rock chip, come to us, because we also do rock chip repair to keep it from getting broken.
Amazing. We've covered so many things in this interview. We've talked about your origin story. We've talked about your challenges, lessons, what you do, your competitive edge. Was there anything else that we didn't discuss that you have been wanting to kind of tell the audience about?
So I think that we want to make sure that people know that we're the ones that you can come to, even if you don't do business with us. Call us and ask the question. We think outside the box. We're the shop in town that's kind of like, we've never done that before. We don't know how to specifically manage our way through this, but we're going to try to figure something out if we can for you. We've done a lot of exotics and new cars, but we also have done a lot of vintage and classic cars, things on cars that we wouldn't normally think that can be done. We'll take badges off and rebadge, and we'll remove third brake lights and accommodate the tint behind the third brake light or around them if people want. We've even worked on exhausts. We have a welder, and we've not been averse to welding things when needed.
I did not know that.
Isn't that crazy? We will do.
I feel like the more I talk to you, the more I learn.
It's just astonishing the things when we look back at it. We started talking about it today. What sets us apart, and who else is going to try some of these things? Certainly not a corporate shop that says we only do these things.
The boundaries are very clear with those companies.
Exactly. We're going to try it. Not that it's always turned out perfect, but we'll give it a college try. If somebody wants us to try something, if you have a question, call us and talk to us. And that's what I want to say is that the joy of just being able to establish relationship, to nurture the relationships that we have. We get most of our business now. We hardly advertise because a lot of it's repeat and referral, which is just golden to us. For one thing, we don't have to have much of a marketing budget.
That's right. That's
a huge luxury. But if you do things right and you're ethical and you're honest and you go at things with that mindset, it'll come back around to you. There's going to be ups and downs. We had a period this summer where it was really, really slow and we got really worried, but things came right back around. And thank goodness our past customers and have really carried us through. And this whole community here, the Kansas City Metro, is fantastic. So we want to just express our thankfulness to everybody who's helped us along the way.
Yeah, people love you guys. It's funny. I've found myself, ever since I became an entrepreneur, and now I've been exposed to different, businesses and industries. Whenever, Tinting K.C. comes up, the person will say, "Oh, is that Liz over there? Or is that Rory at Tinting K.C.?" They know you. And you talk about building something with a throng of raving fans. I mean, you guys have that, So I just think it's so awesome to have you on here. Was there anything else that we didn't cover before we kind of say goodbye to everybody?
Well, I want to encourage everybody to work together if you can. I'm a collaborative type of person, and you listed one of the questions: is there any other business related topics you want to discuss? Yeah. And on that front, if you have an opportunity to collaborate with another business, even if it's a business in your same industry, I encourage you to do that. We embraced that right from the get-go. We were encouraged by our 3M representative to get some foundational knowledge. When we were first starting out, we didn't know much about flat tinting, which is the residential commercial side. He hooked us up with a company out of Wichita who's probably the biggest tent company in Kansas, and they're family owned as well, father, son. And the Rafters, Tom and Ryan Rafter, have been so fantastic, and we've continued a relationship with them ever since the past 4 years, since we went there and spent a 2-day period with them. So since then, they've used us for labor to come in there and help them with bigger jobs. We've used them. We brought them to us to help with a big job we did on Fort Riley. So you're stronger together than apart. Try to work together. Maybe look outside your normal silo that you have and think, right, hey, how can I be working with this other company? Because sometimes it will expand into something that you never thought could happen. And you'll get more business, more revenue and everything than by hunkering down and staying inside your silo and thinking that you need to keep all of the pot of gold for yourself. So the relationships that we've gotten from that are just golden. The job we did yesterday was in partnership with that company out of Wichita. It seems every week that we have conversations with them, and they've helped buck us up at times when we were floundering, and vice versa. So that kind of thing is going to keep you going through the hard times, and you'll celebrate each other through the good times. So I say, everybody, let's work together. And absolutely, which is what we're doing right now, and let's see what the future will hold. I think the future is super bright. I'm not a negative Nelly. Some folks out there right now are a little bit worried about things, but everybody take a deep breath. Relax. It's going to be okay, and we're all going to flourish. It'll be fine.
Liz, I have so enjoyed having you here on KCBC. Love what you guys are doing over there. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody listening, I will make sure that, Liz's socials and the website are all in the show notes here. And again, if you like what you heard today, please remember to subscribe, follow, rate, review. Thank you for listening to KCBC.